Can you guys hear? All right, good morning.
Good morning.
Wow, this is nice. I'd like to thank you for attending. This is, I think, our second in a row of our Beyond Phase 2 portion. We really got it back in gear last year in Chicago, so it's great to see that we're growing in size every year. I also want to echo Shannon's comments that we in the SBIR program also have a great slate of SBIR-specific sessions today. So use the app or the printed materials to find those, as well as there's still a lot of matchmaking opportunities available. In addition, during lunch, in the lunch/exhibit hall, there's going to be a lot of exhibits of government federal agencies to give you a chance to go and talk to learn about SBIR opportunities within those federal agencies. So I'd also like to thank, I don't know if they're still here, our presenters from yesterday. Yesterday we had kind of like the pre-conference warm-up. We had fantastic presentation on SBIR 101 from Jim Greenwood. We had good financial discussion from Ed Jameson. And then in the end we had proposal writing, acquisition thoughts from Paul Johansson. So hopefully a lot of you got a chance to attend that. They were exciting sessions. We're going to follow that up with our sessions during the week. But from there, from the SBIR perspective, we've had a tremendously busy last month. Shannon indicated earlier that the department is undergoing a reorganization. With that, that's impacted SBIR. SBIR, as of July 13th, Friday the 13th, go figure, we are now part of the Research and Engineering Organization. And with that, we have our official principal director, Dr. Jim Galvin, is here. He is going to lead the SBIR program in that new organization. So he's open for questions later during the week as well. Yes, if not, I'm in trouble. So also on stage with me, I have two folks that I'm going to split my time with. We have Mr. Jere Glover. He's the executive director of the Small Business Technology Council. Jere is really one of the founding members of the SBIR program back to the Roll and Tippets Day. He is a tireless advocate for the program. He is actually a friend of the department. He does keep us in check and honest, but he is a tremendous supporter and resource for us in the SBIR program. And then we have Mr. Friesenhahn. He is a SBIR Senior Commercialization Manager from Montana State University under a partnership intermediary agreement. They do a lot of things for us in the department. They started really looking to assist the department in licensing patents that the government developed out to industry. They have moved over the years to assist us with SBIR issues, and then we'll hear from him later on the session. So with that, I'm going to see if, oh, it's the big green button. All right, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time on 101. Hopefully you heard that all yesterday. SBIR, Small Business Innovation Research, STTR, Small Business Technology Transfer, congressionally mandated programs. Sum it up simply, there are two programs that help us get small businesses involved in federal R&D needs. So it's a three-phase program, simply phase 1 and phase 2. Those are typically the beginning. Phase 1 is a feasibility study. Phase 2, we get into real work. That's either prototype, research, things like that, with the goal of getting to phase 3, which is where we're getting someone else to pick up the effort, a program office, a research lab, a major defense contractor, other industry members. So we grow up through phase 1 and phase 2, get it to phase 3 on its way to commercialization and transition. So just some quick metrics for the department. FY17 is kind of at a glance. We did a little over 700 topics. FY18, we're on pace to exceed that. We do 3 solicitations a year. We receive about 10,000 proposals against our topics on an annual basis. We'll award a little over 1,700 phase 1s. We'll award about 1,000 phase 2s, and we're seeing in FY17 just under 1.4 billion. FY18, we're actually on track to exceed every one of these numbers. So the DoD program is growing, and we're always looking for more participants. So who all participates? We, the list of the symbols, obviously our services, Army, Navy, Air Force, but we have anywhere between 10 and 15 other defense components and agencies that are participating at any given time in those 3 solicitations. So there's a lot of opportunity resident within there, different mission areas, different tech areas. You can see the chart in the middle. Our budget, again, has been growing. 2018, we're probably set to approach the $1.5 billion mark. So again, a lot of opportunity within the program for those. So really what the rest of the presentation is going to highlight, we're going to talk about the initiatives that's going on in the department. Obviously, the Beyond Phase 2 conference is a big activity for us. This is our opportunity to engage directly with industry. We support SBA in their spring and fall national conference as well, but this is really our time to focus on DoD issues. With that, we have another major initiative called SBIR 1. It sounds really exciting. It is our portal. So those of you that have used our program in some way, shape, or form have touched SBIR 1, you just may not know what it's called. We are undergoing a major renovation, if you will, of this program. So as we move forward, a lot of it you'll see and a lot of it you won't. There's a lot of things behind the scenes to make us more efficient, streamlined in our internal processes, but there's going to be a lot of improvements for our search capabilities, visibility into where things are in the process. We're going to have improvements on fraud, waste, and abuse issues, things like that. So a lot of stuff to come. You'll start to see the first visible impacts probably middle of next year, rolling out through there. So we'll look forward to being able to talk about this more in the future. That's one of our major initiatives. Another one is we have a major focus on training and advocacy. We've been doing a series of online webinars. If I get a show of hands, has anybody heard about those webinars and participated? All right. Thanks, my support staff for clapping. We've undertaken this year too, in addition to attending physical conferences, we've started an effort with online webinars. I think I might inflate the numbers a little bit, but we're probably averaging 300 or so participants. I get the thumbs up, so good, on these webinars. We're going to continue to do that. In addition, we're doing other things within the department for our reporting. We're going to be more visible or transparent on our program. We're also helping set guidance for a Phase 3, or what we call Beyond Phase 2 guidebook. The Navy and the Air Force have these already. We're looking to put something together from the DoD level, so a lot of emphasis on that. The next two sessions are what these gentlemen are going to talk about. As I said, it's been an exciting month with the reorganization of OSD, but it's been exciting from another initiative that Jere will talk about for legislation and policy, and a major assist by another one of our sister federal agencies, as well as we've undertaken, hopefully we'll use the words groundbreaking, revolutionary, or whatever, analysis of the impacts for the DoD SBIR program. That's everybody. The Air Force and Navy had done theirs in the past. We've expanded that to look at the whole department, and you will get one of the first looks at where we stand with the impact of the DoD SBIR program here in just a few minutes. So I would be remiss, again, we call it the SBIR machine. We have our 3 solicitations. We are actually in a great time frame. Our last solicitation of FY18 actually opens for pre-release in 10 days. So you can see our website above it. That same website is where you'll find the topics. You can research past topics. It's where you'll make sure you're registered to submit your proposals. It's also where you'll be able to submit questions if you want to do that. So we're 10 days away from our next solicitation, and then you can also see our schedule for the first solicitation of 19. So this is just a contact chart. I believe you guys will be getting all these slides at the end of the conference or shortly thereafter via the app, so this contact information will be there. We will also have it at our table in the exhibit hall. This is my support team's contact information. Again, we're around all week. There is a bunch of us here. So if you have questions, hunt us down. We love to answer questions. And with that, I don't know what's going to happen when we hit this button. Okay, nothing. So if we can call up Jere's slides, please. With that, I will turn it over to Jere Glover.
Well, thanks, David. It's good to be here with you, and it's wonderful to be talking about SBIR and updating people on what's happening. And I'm sort of going to focus on the previous year, and then focus intently on the last couple of months. The SBIR program, the whole DoD has been focusing on transitioning technology much quicker. The tactical edge that the U.S. military has had over the rest of the world used to be ranked in 15, 20 years. It's now down to a couple of years. So we simply aren't doing enough to get technology to the warfighter fast enough. And SBTC and the SBIR community have been working on that. And Congress, of course, is focused on it, as is all of DoD. The 809 committee actually came out about a year and a half ago with recommendations. Congress mandated that they go out, DoD, go out, bring in industry, bring in retired former DoD officials as well as current DoD officials, and figure out what could they do to transition technology more quickly. And they came up with a couple of very specific things that everybody seems to think are a good ideas. One is to double the SBIR program, and two is to make the Rapid Innovation Fund permanent. I actually take a good deal of pride in the Rapid Innovation Fund, since I worked with the chairman of the Armed Services Committee, Ike Skelton, to develop the concept and the idea that eventually happened, which has now been made permanent. So the Rapid Innovation Fund, just in the past couple of defense authorization bills, has made that permanent. So the 809 committee really kind of jumped off and said, here's what the best minds can think of ought to be going on. Now, this last year, we all know we haven't done a good enough job of transitioning technology quickly. There were three little words that were stuck into the last year's NDAA, and that was, you can make phase 3 awards without further justification. Now, what DoD's counsel's office, and we worked with Dr. Galvins to get pinned down, is if we added these three words, then sole source for phase 3 awards could be made quickly with no reservations and no upset, nothing changed. And those three little words have already made a tremendous difference in how quickly phase 3 awards can be made. And phase 3 awards are the commercialization, taking the R&D and actually getting it into the warfighter. Now, it's been successful in the past. 60% of phase 2s would have over $1 million in sales. 5% have been actually licensed out and spun out into new companies. And the Navy has created its own special contracting shop for SBIR to expedite making awards. So these things are already happening and have happened. Now, when we look at current events, the Assistant Secretary of the Navy issued a memorandum August 6th, 2 weeks ago. And what he said was, small business are an incredible source of innovations, adaptability, speed, pivotal speed, and resilience, whether as a prime or a subcontractor. The memo went on to say that prior review of all SBIR awards projects and assess opportunities to use prior SBIR technology in awards. So he's directing that the entire acquisition team for the Navy to look at SBIR to see if they can pick up technology and go forward with it. And then he says leverage the phase 3 SBIR award process to include direct SBIR STTR phase 3 awards without further competition. Again, he already took into the consideration without further. Now, what's happened? Well, one, we already mentioned Navy created its own contracting shop to make those awards much quicker. But recently, those three words opened the door for the General Services Administration to begin making phase 3 awards. The head of GSA happens to be an old friend who used to worked for the Small Business Committee in the House, worked for the Armed Services Committee in the House, and worked in GSA and SBA in prior years. So we sat down with her to work on this and bring them into the fold so they can speed up the process. Most of our SBIR companies tell us that the greatest time is getting a contracting officer to put a phase 3 under contracts. You've got a program manager who wants your technology, but then you got to find a contracting officer that has the time and puts a priority to make that happen. GSA has now agreed to do that. We met with them early on without further justification, but it was signed into law, I think in January, it could have been December. And in this period of time, we met with the head of it twice. She committed to us in May that she would have this implemented by mid-August, and sure enough, it's now there. The press release is out. The program is working, and what you see on this chart is the cycle. What they asked us after they made the announcement, they said, we don't want to come out with this until we have a chance to get the programs in place and the personnel in place so we can start doing this. But if a small business has a technology and a program manager with money, they can go to GSA. GSA will quickly run through the process of getting that under contract. Now, one of our guys has already done this. He did it before the formal office, the administrator formally agreed. SBA has endorsed this, issued a legal memorandum supporting this, and it's now fully implemented and up and running. So the advantage here we're going to see is an agency that is incentivized to get things under contract quickly. Again, we go back to this tactical edge. It's critical that we get the warfighter good new technology as fast as we can. And a recent survey study came out from SBA that said the lag between selection and award was far too great. So GSA that's up and running. One of our guys has already gotten one contract under place and then got additional customers to add to it. So GSA has already done $70 million in access in this in the last 90 days. Well, last 6 months. So the program is up alive and well. National Defense Authorization Act that just passed has some important contract provisions on SBIR. One, it requires DoD to streamline and simplify the contracting procedures between Phase 1 and Phase 2 and Phase 3. It requires them to pay within 15 days. It also allows 3% administrative money and continues the pilot program for direct to Phase 2 that's been at DoD. So you see that things are really going on. Now I'm going to skip this chart because Ray's going to cover this, but needless to say, the program is beneficial financially, has a great return on investment, doing wonderful things. One of the things that's come out in the last couple of years is the Air Force came out with an analysis of how much money the SBIR program saves the Joint Fighter program. $500 million of documented savings from just SBIR companies, and that's only scratching the surface. I then point out a couple of things that are kind of interesting. Bloomberg does an innovation index, and they've been doing it for a number of years. The U.S. is no longer the best place to get innovations. We've dropped to 9. And the climate for America in innovation isn't quite as good as it used to be. Now, when you look at venture capital versus seed funding, you realize SBIR is actually much bigger than venture capital in number of deals, that early stage seed deals that get funded. And the other thing is, why is this so important to technology? And why is it so important to keep the technology flowing rapidly and the funds flowing so that you don't have the valley of death swallow up the good technologies and all? When we look at where the outside investors are putting their money, you look at it and you will see that 80% of all venture capital seed investments, early stage, later on they diversify a little bit more, but early on, the early money, software, telecom, and internet. If you're not in one of those areas, then you have a real tough time getting money. So it's critical that we get transition. The technology in DoD is an absolutely critical element in keeping small businesses growing, thriving, and surviving. And if we can compress this timetable, then we're going to have more companies survive, we're going to get more technology, and the economic impact of this program is absolutely phenomenal. When the administration changed, we went back, redid our white paper, looked at economic impact, and have come out with a paper that really talks about that. And Ray is going to talk about economic impact, and I'm not going to spend any time on that. But I just wanted to say thank you guys for being here, for listening to me. The SBIR program is a magnificent success story, and we're really making it move much quicker and faster. And I thank Defense Department, Navy. Oh, by the way, one little hint, don't try to use GSA at the Navy. Something happened 15 or 20 years ago, and they don't like each other anymore. But all the rest of the services, think it's fine. Air Force is already using it. DARPA has used it for phase 1s and phase 2s, and so the program's alive and well, and I'm looking for a great program, great success.
All right, I want to thank both David and Jerry so much for all they've done for such an important program that's for small businesses as well as important for the nation. And when you spend over $1 billion a year on something like this, you want to find out what the nation has gotten out of it. So I'm going to give you some preliminary results of what is the largest, most comprehensive study of an SBIR program ever undertaken. This was a study of approximately 17,000 DoD Phase 2 SBIR and TTR awards that started all the way back from 1995 up through 2012 for a total value of awards of just over $14 billion. This was over 4,400 different companies, and it was hard to track down some of these after their acquisitions, mergers, name changes, deaths, etc. So the results were, our team was actually able to get results, get info from over 93% of these, or their representatives, and they represented 95.7% of all of those 17,000 Phase 2 awards. Only 1.8% of the companies refused to participate. The rest, either we couldn't find anyone or we just never got a response from the people we did find. Now this builds on a foundation of the two previous studies mentioned earlier, the Air Force and the Navy SBIR economic impact studies, which you can download for yourself at sbir.gov or at TechLink's website. So our methodology, we first got the data from the DoD awards database, and then we verified as much as we could. We even found over 100 Phase 2 awards that either weren't listed or had some very bad information like no start date or whatever. So we were very thorough in vetting the information on this. We had 12 very experienced market research professionals conducting this research. We use standard methodology with very simple questions to minimize any time intrusion on the companies. And we encourage trading when someone couldn't find a contact or couldn't get a response. We encourage them to trade so a different perspective, a different person on the phone could get results, which is one reason we had such a high response rate. We gave the companies assurances that no information from their financials would be shared either publicly or with the government even. And so companies were also asked if they were willing to share some of their information, not financial, but to be included in a success story if it made the cut, so to speak. And we let them know that their participation was important for the future of the SBIR program. Our methodology included some basic questions on total sales, military sales, other sales like through a spin-out or licensee, and other economic results such as sale of the company or investments. And then the data will be analyzed by University of Colorado using the standard in-plan model to look at multiplier effects and the total economic output, jobs created, tax revenues, etc. Our preliminary results, we are still doing final data validation, and we have not done the in-plan modeling yet. More than 60% of the Phase 2 contracts did have follow-on economic results, with a total combined sales of at least $125 billion. Military sales, $28 billion, commercial sales, $76 billion, but I have to state that these numbers are extremely conservative. In military sales, there were a lot of classified follow-ons that we could not get data from, as well as companies that were bought by major prime contractors who would not or could not reveal the follow-on. And technology infusion is a huge thing. There were some really fundamental creations coming out of the program that had tremendous impact that we just can't ascertain in any specific numbers. So we just took what we could get conservatively for their direct economic impacts. When you add the multipliers as a standard for economic models, the economic impact was $325 billion, or an ROI of 23 to 1. Now that does not include things like investment, sales of the company, etc. But as you'll see in the next chart, that going by the year of the award, it takes a while, 10, 12, or more years for these results to mature and really get the numbers going. So you look at here, when we break this out by year of the award, you see that after a number of years, the results can be huge. Licensing and spin-off, those revenues take a long time to generate. Follow-on R&D, relatively constant over all of the awards. Military sales do take a while, but the commercial sales can really take off when they have time to mature. And when you look at the ROI, you see that, say, going back to 98 through 2000, that was over 90 to 1. So again, when you allow time for maturing of these technologies, you can get a tremendous ROI that we really don't know the full extent of, because it can be so much huge, as I said, from the technology infusion. But let's look at a few success story examples. And there's a lot of success stories on our website, some at SBIR.gov. We've got dozens of videos. We're making dozens more of some of these companies. First one, In Situ Group. Some of you know of this company. They were at the forefront of some of the UAV technology. Their SBIR, that was Phase 2 awarded in '96, led to the first transatlantic UAV flight. And it was done on just 2 gallons of fuel, which really blows me away that they could do that. And they show video of this transatlantic flight that you'll see it landing, when we get this video finished. It's really pretty cool. They said this SBIR was instrumental for their next-gen UAVs, and 100% of In Situ's capability, they said, was attributable to this SBIR award. In Situ was acquired by Boeing in 2008, and for their little corner of southwest Washington State, they said this SBIR led to single-handedly growing the local economy out of a hub zone. So great local economic impact as well as national and military. Now, one that was almost pure military, you probably won't see this technology in your cell phone, but Versatron Corporation had an SBIR award in FY95 for a low-cost control of a control actuation system for high G. This was allowing up to 15,000 Gs, which is required if you're going to launch this out of a howitzer. It allowed or enabled the creation of the Excalibur artillery system, 155 millimeter high precision guided artillery round with extended range, 25 miles, with integrated GPS for very high precision, 5 meter to 20 meter circular error probability. This was a game changer for the military to allow really close artillery support when some of our warfighters were in close proximity to the enemy and needed to call in artillery strikes. Versatron was bought by General Dynamics Ordnance and Tactical Systems, and GDOTS has now delivered over 10,000 of these units to Raytheon for Excalibur. Here's one that most of you probably have in your pocket right now. Photobit Corporation helped develop CMOS technology that's now in almost every cell phone camera, security system, vehicles, etc. worldwide. This is a huge impact that's been so pervasive in our capabilities. They were spun out of NASA JPL, and they had phase 2 SBIRs from NASA and Ballistic Missile Defense Organization, the predecessor of Missile Defense Agency, and some other phase 2s as well. Now, they said the DoD SBIRs were critical for the performance of this and were really helping enable this technology. But as Eric Fossen said, success really does have many fathers and mothers. Physical research. You will have our keynote tomorrow. You'll hear from the principal investigator for physical research, Reza Rafagaran, who was the PI, and after his SBIR from DARPA on GPS on a chip, he created his own company with his sister Mariam that was Innovent Systems. This company was merged with a little company you may have heard of called Broadcom. Most of you have heard of the big success story of SBIR, which is Qualcomm. Earlier this year, Broadcom was trying to buy Qualcomm. So Broadcom has a very large portion of its revenue that derived from Innovent Systems, derived from this SBIR, the Bluetooth and Wi-Fi chips. Now, Reza and Mariam, at the end of last year, were named number 3 in the top 5 innovators in the world after Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos. They've got something like 1,000 patents between them, and I really look forward to hearing Reza tomorrow. Now, I love his quote, "This is the only place in the world this could happen. There are no limits, no discrimination for any solid business idea and a person who can implement it." So, with that, I thank you very much, and any questions for any on the panel?
I think we're at our break, but we'll be, again, Ray and Jerry will be around today for questions at the exhibit hall, and we'll get to hear Jerry this afternoon on intellectual property. So,
All right, thank you
I think
very much.
we're at our break. Thank you.